So Hasbro released a new Transformers show called Transformers CYBERVERSE, and I know what you're all wondering. Is it as good as Halo 3? Obviously not, but that's not a very fair comparison. So instead, let's ask, is Cyberverse as good as the greatest Transformers show of all time? Yes, it is in fact better than Transformers Energon. Transformers CYBERVERSE was released in 2018 by Boulder Media Studio for Cartoon Network, but Hasbro puts all the episodes on YouTube, so I just watched them all there instead. Now you may be wondering who Boulder Media Studio is, and so did I, so I did highly intensive research and found that they're Irish. That's all I got, really. This was their entire Wikipedia page. They did make select episodes for Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, so that's good at least. They also made Season 2 of whatever this is, and this thing. Well, it doesn't look like they've made anything absolutely terrible, so that's a good sign at least. So what is Cyberverse all about? Well, it's its own thing and isn't connected to Transformers Prime like some of the other shows have been, which is probably a good thing because making a show continuing off Prime would be like trying to put up your own artwork in the Louvre. You'd have to be as good as the reincarnation of Michelangelo to avoid getting stabbed by an angry art nerd, or in Cyberverse's case, getting stabbed by me. It's a good thing no one's ever tried to do a continuation off Prime, because I can't imagine what that would look like. So anyway, Cyberverse is mostly about Bumblebee and Windblade on Earth trying to figure out what happened to all the more interesting characters. Bumblebee can't remember anything because his memory's all messed up, so he and Windblade try and fix his memories by going into his head, which pieces together the war on Cybertron, the time before the war, how Bumblebee got to Earth, and what happened to everyone else. This is probably a good time to mention the show's still in Season 1 at the time of recording this, so if you're watching this a year or so from now and some big new thing happened, don't yell at me. Please. Anyway, the setup for the whole story is something along the lines of Megatron was a gladiator guy and everyone liked him, but then he decided to get into politics and became a little bit of an authoritarian dictator, which made Optimus not a very happy Prime. Optimus tells Megatron to stop, and Megatron says no. Then they do a war. During the war, Optimus throws the Allspark into the space bridge to Earth, so Megatron can't get it, which means Megatron is now not very happy either.
What? No! This must not be!
Pretty soon after that, Optimus, Bumblebee, and some other guys leave on a ship called the Ark to go find the Allspark on Earth, but at some point, Bumblebee lost his memory and got separated, which is where Windblade finds him and the show begins. So that's the setup for the story in a nutshell. I don't want to give away the whole plot because that's the only leverage I have to force you to start watching this show. And yes, this show has an actual story. It's not just one of those shows where they use the same formula a million times with very rare deviations. Can't imagine what that would look like. On the other hand, Transformers Energon starts with Megatron returning with an army of birds and dogs. And everyone wanted some Energon chip things that came with the toys. I can't really remember. It's been a long time since I've seen that classic. I know this might be a controversial opinion, but I think Cyberverse has the better story. Now let's talk about the characters. Transformers Energon had memorable characters such as Optimus Prime, Megatron, Starscream, Kicker, Ironhide. Oh yeah, Tidal Wave was a cool toy. Meanwhile, Transformers CYBERVERSE has such memorable characters as Optimus Prime, Megatron, Starscream, Bumblebee, and... Wait a minute. You're not in G1. You see, I'm a G1 elitist, and Windblade wasn't in G1, which automatically makes her bad. I can't stand this heresy. Energon has the better characters. Wait. Energon didn't have Soundwave? Cyberverse has the better characters. I'll overlook Windblade because she really doesn't have a character in the show, which is accurate to G1 because she didn't have a character in that show either. Aside from that, Cyberverse's characters are all pretty okay. Optimus is still just Optimus, except now he sounds like someone trying to be Optimus, but not Optimus himself.
No matter what, we push forward, old friend.
We're Autobots. We're from Cybertron, a planet far from Earth.
Yes, we can. But this is not the way.
Those who tried to harm you are called Decepticons. We must stop them before they destroy your world.
I'm not really sure how to feel about that. Bumblebee is pretty likable when he has his voice, but when he doesn't have his voice, he's basically just Michael Bay or Travis Knight's Bumblebee, but annoying without the charisma. So, all the parts people like about Bumblebee.
Oh yeah, this is terrible, the worst!
Megatron at first pretty much just yells, but later on he actually gets more nuanced.
Optimus Prime! You've already lost this battle and the war. Accept your destiny and surrender now. Leave us.
What?
This scout poses no threat to me.
You didn't bring me all the way here just to push me off a building, did you?
You show no fear. You would have made a good Decepticon.
This was your war! Optimus never wanted this!
Optimus had his chance, and this war cannot continue.
This actually happens with Optimus Prime and some of the other characters too, like Starscream, who just starts as another Decepticon that gets immediately pummeled, but later in the show is shown to be some kind of elitist who has a massive sense of entitlement due to his high social status of being a jet, implying there's probably some kind of social hierarchy structure that he's using to his advantage.
We're seekers. We're on the list. Now let us in. On Cybertron, we jets are always well taken care of. God! This little yellow bot attacked my friend! I insist you throw him out immediately!
Sorry. You know Starscream?
I wish I could unknow him. He thinks he's above everyone else. Typical jet.
That's racist.
Some of you might say that the characters just get more developed because the writers didn't know what they were doing with everyone, or that they were just being lazy. But I have a theory. What if the characters getting more developed and nuanced is reflective of Bumblebee recovering his memory and piecing things together as the show goes on? If that's true, then I have some serious respect for this show, but I feel like I might be overestimating the writing of this kids show. Then again, this kids show has a scene where Megatron rips out Bumblebee's voice box from his throat.
Optimus will never let that happen!
Optimus will never know, because you will never tell anyone what you've seen.
He tore out my voice box!
So maybe there really is more than meets the eye.
Please clap.
This is the part where I would compare Energon's characters, but again, Energon doesn't have Soundwave, so what's the point? Speaking of which, CyberVerse's Soundwave doesn't do much, but he sounds and looks cool, which is more than I can say for some versions of Soundwave.
Your efforts are futile.
Now they've got all the boring plot and character stuff out of the way, we can talk about the real good stuff. The part where giant robots commit heinous acts of violence on each other, and it doesn't get an R rating because Cybertronian lives don't matter.
Piece of tin.
If this was a person, I think all the kids who watch this would have to be medicated in order to forget the amounts of trauma this would induce. So what kind of awesome robot-on-robot fights does Cyberverse have for us?
Autobots, defend yourself.
Bumblebee!
I'm not upset, Cyberverse, I'm just disappointed. I'm starting to miss Transformers Energon where Megatron's dogs and birds got disintegrated in a fiery explosion when hit. The guns in Energon made everything explode to the point where Michael Bay felt insecure about his explosions, while in Cyberverse, every weapon makes those little firecracker snap things feel like a tactical nuclear strike.
I'll just throw a few here. And as you can see now, I have a whole bunch. I'm just gonna basically throw them all in just a second.
Everyone hang on!
Although every now and then the animators will accidentally make a good action scene, and I don't think it's a coincidence at all that Soundwave's action scenes are some of my favorite moments.
Destroy Bumblebee!
Target acquired.
I'm not saying that Soundwave instantly makes everything better, but no one's proven that he doesn't, So I would compare animation, but come on guys, I think it's obvious. I'll give this round a Transformers CYBERVERSE and we can move on. To be fair, Energon's animation only loses because it was too good. It was so innovative and progressive that we just weren't ready for it yet as a society. Just like Galileo. Although, on a serious note, I actually can't decide if CYBERVERSE's animation is good or not. Everything has a surprising amount of detail and depth to it, aside from the environments. From afar, it looks pretty flat. It also looks really good in certain lighting, but that only happens very rarely, so I'm very confused, and I don't like that. Overall, I think I have to say that CYBERVERSE is the better show of the two. It's a real tough call, but CYBERVERSE somehow managed to be a better show than Transformers Energon. However, CYBERVERSE isn't the greatest Transformers show of all time. That's because I lied to you all. The greatest Transformers show of all time isn't Energon. The greatest Transformers show of all time, without a doubt, is Transformers.
Our worlds are in danger. To save them and the galaxy, we must find the 4 cyber planet keys before the Decepticons can use them for evil. It is our mission. Hotshot, Jetfire, Vector Prime, Landmine, Scattershot, Optimus Prime, Transform and roll out!
Transformers, more than